Friends and viewer, The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. This novel is written in 1939. A greatest American writer, John Steinbeck, and The Grapes of Wrath. The name of the same is Grapes of Wrath. So the story of this novel begins like a man Tom Jote, who was released from Oklahoma State Prison after serving for 4 years in a prison for a manslaughter conviction. He wants to make his way back to his family farm in Oklahoma. He meets Jim Casey, a former preacher who has given up his calling out of the belief that all life is holy, even the parts that are typically thought to be sinful, and that sacredness consists simply in endeavoring to be an equal among the people. Jim accompanies Tom to his home only to find it and all the surrounding farms deserted. Molly Graves, an old neighbor, wanders by and tells the man that everyone has been tractored off the land. Most families, he says, including his own, have headed to California to look for work. The next morning, Tom and Jim set out for Tom's uncle's John's, where Mullies assures them they will find the Jote clan. Upon arrival, Tom finds Ma and Pa Jote packing up the family's few possessions. Having seen handbills advertising fruit-picking jobs in California, they envision the trip to California as their only hope of getting their lives back on track. The journey to California in a rickety used truck is long and arduous. Grandpa Joe, a feisty old man who complains bitterly that he does not want to leave his land, dies on the road shortly after the family's departure. Dilapidated cars and trucks loaded down with scrappy possession clog Highway 66. It seems that the entire country is in flight to the promised land of California. The Jodes meet Ivy and Sari Wilson, a couple plagued with car trouble, and invite them to travel with the family. Sari Wilson is sick and near the California border, becomes unable to continue the journey. As the Jodes near California, they hear ominous rumors of a depleted job market. One migrant tells Pa that 20,000 people show up for every 800 jobs. That his own children have starved to death. Although the Jodes press on, their first days in California prove tragic. As Grandma Joe dies, the remaining family member move from one squalid camp to the next, looking in vain for work, struggling to find food, and trying desperately to hold their family together. Noah, the oldest of Joe's children, soon abandons the family, as does Connie, a young dreamer who is married to Tom's pregnant sister, Rose of Sharon. What happened next? That the Jodes meet with much hostility in California. The camps are overcrowded and full of starving migrants who are often nasty to each other. The locals are fearful and angry, and the flood of newcomers whom they derisively label Okies. Work is almost impossible to find or pays in such a meager wage that a family full day's work cannot buy a decent meal. Fearing an uprising, the large landowners do everything in their power to keep the migrant poor and dependent, while staying in a ramshackle camp known as Hover Villa. Tom and several men get into a heated argument with Deputy Sheriff over whether worker should organize into a union. When the argument turns violent, Jim Casey knocks the sheriff unconscious and is arrested. Police officers arrive and announce their intention to burn the Hover Villa to the ground. A government-run camp, much more hospitable to the Jodes and family, soon finds many friends and a bit of work. However, one day while working at the pipe laying job, Tom learns that the police are planning to stage a riot in the camp, which will allow them to shut down the facilities by alerting and organizing the men in the camp. Tom helps to diffuse the danger. Still as pleasant as life in the government camp is, the Jodes cannot survive without steady work, and they have to move on. They find employment picking fruit, but soon learn that they are earning a decent wage only because they have been hired to break a worker strike. Tom runs into Jim Casey, who after being released from jail has begun organizing worker in the process. Casey has made many enemies among the landowners. When people hunt him down and kill him in Tom's presence, Tom retaliates and kills a police officer. Tom goes into hiding while the family moves into a boxcar on a cotton farm. One day, what happened that the Ruthie, the youngest and Jod daughter, reveals to a girl in the camp that her brother has killed two men and is hiding nearby. Fearing for his safety, Ma Jod finds Tom and sends him away. Tom heads off to fulfill Jim's task of organizing the migrant worker. The end of the cotton season means the end of work, and work sweeps across the land, and there are no jobs to be had for 3 months. Rain set in and flood the land. Rose of Sharon give birth to a stillborn child, and Ma, desperate to get her family to safety from flood, leads them to a dry barn not far away. Here they find a young boy kneeling over his father, who is slowly starving to death. He has not eaten for days, giving whatever food he had to his son, realizing that Rose of Sharon is now producing milk. Ma sends the other outside so that her daughter can nurse the dying man. And this is the story of the John Steinbeck novel, The Grapes of Wrath of the Grapes. And this is a very miserable novel, a novel full of pain, whereon the people were forced to migrate from their homeland in order for, due to the plague and other poverty-stricken reason. So they were forced to leave their land and to go and to immigrate in another land where they had faced such an hardship, along with the miseries and the hostility of those landowners who wants them to and deprive them from even the food that they can eat. This is the story of the John Steinbeck, The Grapes of Wrath of Grapes. Thank you very much for patient listening. I hope you will enjoy this painful novel. Thank you.